performance measures to actual physically measurable things. We clearly need better measurements for complexity, but I think this is not trivial, and really to get to the end, so to get to the end point here, these ideas are clearly not, just for a single researcher or a single research team to work on. These are fundamentally important to the field, and we say, come and join the party. If you're interested in this stuff, we'd love to hear your ideas and grow the size of the people group working on this. So I think I'll end it there.
Yeah, so I like that you use the word evaluation because you could have used testing or validation or verification, right? The famous difference between these words, right? Are you so in your research, are you trying to do the right task, or are you testing to see if the task is done right? Does that make sense? Because we talk about tasks, and in testing, if you look at software engineering, for example, we do have tasks. For example, test cases, right? And when you design a testing or evaluation model, you build it based on test cases. True. So I would see this as similar. Test cases are equal to tasks in AI, right? Unit, exactly. Yeah. So if you're looking to do the right task, you'll be validating. If you're looking to do the task right, you'll be verifying.
Yeah. So I think my proposal is above those concerns in the sense that I don't think we can impose the right task or the right battery of tests for AIs, because this is something that would evolve ultimately as for subgroups of AI researchers that agree on the goals of their systems.
Yeah.
But even for AGI, there's going to be a wide range of systems that more or less meet the stamp of proto-AGI or AGI, and so what we instead of just continuously working on trying to find the right tests for AI, what I think we need to do is focus on sort of ways to enable people to experiment with various ways of measuring their systems, and ultimately some standards will emerge, but it won't be us defining it for the whole group. It'll be people sort of doing it in small pockets here and there, depending on the goals of their system.
Yeah.
Why are they doing these systems?
Yeah, that's a fair point. In the mid-90s, early 2000s, there's a lot of research on testing AI systems, right? And then it kind of stopped. So I think looking at it from an AGI perspective is a great new take on it. So that's my point.
Yep.
Is task theory is a language to describe a particular region in a state space which agent should achieve while implementing task? Well, doing the task is similar to occupying particular region in a state space. Is it?
Not really. I see it more, and I have to preface this with the statement that we're very early in this way of thinking, and there's a long way ahead of us. But we've done some work on this. There's 2 or 3 papers on this already, or 5, 6 if you expand the definition of it. But I think the way I think of task theory is that it allows us, just given a task, to come up with a set of measures of that task that then correlate strongly with performance of some agent on that task if you know its strengths and weaknesses. So so it's sort of like saying, I've got a river and a tree. and I've got a bunch of animals. Okay, I'm going to measure the performance of these animals climbing that tree, but first I have to cross the river. Now, you have to have some measurements of the river and the tree, but that's not enough. You have to know, of course, the animals that are going to do this. So if you say, okay, for our test of intelligence, we're just going to test how high up in the tree you can go. Well, on the riverbank there is an elephant and a mouse and a bird. It's like, that's ridiculous, You can't just do one or the other. It's the combination that actually determines the performance. But without the measure of the tree and the stream, you can't predict or know anything about how those animals are gonna, do. So that's how we're trying to separate it, so as not to convolute the whole thing and make it even harder than it could be, by saying, okay, we're gonna mix and match, sort of, here are tests for systems with big memories, here are tests for systems with no perception, that's just wrong in my opinion. You should have some physical measurements of the tasks that are completely independent on who does them, because that's a separate question.
Okay,
Yeah.
maybe it's just the words, but I wonder if goal rather than task. Maybe if you think about your river example, so one agent could swim across the river, one agent could build a rowboat, one could build a bridge.
Yeah.
So there's given the resources and the environment and the constraints and everything else, there would be a series of tasks or whatever that the agent may perform to achieve a measurable goal,
Yeah.
given the constraints of the.
Yeah, so this is in fact, an issue of the definition of terms, and I think it's important, but it's not critical. We have made some attempts in a paper that we're going to give tomorrow, for instance, where we have, and I jumped over those slides here actually, that have our version of these. It's not so important exactly how you define them, but it's important to be consistent, of course, and be clear about how you define them. We like to think of goal as basically independent of, a goal can be independent of time and energy. So you could say, okay, you could define sort of going to the moon as a goal. It's a goal, going to the moon. Now, when JFK says, we're going to go to the moon within the decade, now it's a task. Well, certainly, as soon as okay, that could be a goal with a time attached, but as soon as he assigns that to NASA and says, here's a budget, then it's a task.
So just a quick note, I think more to his point is that general intelligence, you're basically defining the building blocks of general intelligence as tasks. And that's maybe oversimplifying how a general intelligence needs to be. Because it needs to have goals and tasks and other things. You have to test separately. And then you get
so all of this is just about being consistent about how you use the terms and separating them from cognitive abilities, so that when you measure things, you can measure cognitive abilities separately from these other things, which can be measured independently of who performs them.
Yeah.
That's all. All right, I think we'll, are there any? So I think we'll move to Ben, who's gonna tell you about adapting IQ tests for robots.
We started a bit late, but if we run a bit late, it's not going to hurt us, because what comes after this is a break with no coffee, and then after that is the poster session, demo session, reception, which does have some food and beverages, which is at 6 o'clock. So there's no great merit at stopping on the dot at 5:30. So what I'm gonna